Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining me and my very special guest. He is one of Broadway's favorite leading men. You know him from such shows as Sunday in the Park with George, Billy Elliot, Act One, Sons of the Prophet, Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella, and of course from his Tony Award-winning star turn as Michael Dorsey in the musical Tootsie. You also know him from the film Frozen and, of course, from television's Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. And now this coming Sunday night, February 21st at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, he kicks off his brand new concert with Seth Rudetsky as part of the Seth Concert Series that streams right here at Broadway World. And it is always thrilling to catch up with my friend. Please say hello to Santino Fontana.
Hello, sir. How are you? Good to see you.
How are you? You've been in rehearsal all day today, haven't you?
I know. Yes, for a reading. Yeah.
Okay, without giving anything away, you're doing a reading you're in rehearsal for. You're rehearsing for your big concert with Seth this Sunday. I was going to ask you, what is a typical day like for you? But now I sort of have figured that out.
Well, this is not norm. I mean, there's been a lot of days of nothing and just, checking in with friends and family. The great thing is I have a 16-month-old now who is running around and she's keeping us very busy. So, that's great. And this week, for whatever reason, things lined up so that I got stuff. Yeah.
So I was going to ask you, how are you and where are you?
I'm okay. How are you? And I'm in. No, I'm good. I'm great, actually. I have no complaints. And I'm in Washington State. I'm back. I'm where I went to high school, which is where my parents are at now. And we came because otherwise we didn't feel safe with my parents coming to New York with everything going on, and we wanted them to see the baby, and there's more space here. And so we came out here.
Well, we have to give a big shout out to your parents, because I remember spending a lot of time with your parents on opening nights and, of course, at your Birdland Jazz show, whatever else. So I'm a huge fan of your parents. We are now in our 11th month, and I believe it is now the 343rd day since the New York theater shut down. How amazing is that?
It's isn't it? It's insane, isn't it? I mean, it's it's nuts. We went, I remember I was doing an audio book right as things started to shut down. And I was in the studio when they said, stay at home order, it stopped. So, and I remember, Times Square being empty. It was just insane. It's insane.
So did you go to Washington right away, or what was that first few weeks like for you as a family?
No, well, you'll love this. So we went to Noah Robbins, who played my younger brother in Brighton Beach Memoirs. And he and I are very close, and his girlfriend, Talene Monahan, excuse me. They were going to go see his parents up in Vermont, and they said, do you want to come? And we were like, well, what are we doing here? Just trapped in a small apartment with the baby. So we were like, yeah, let's do it. So we went to Vermont, then we went to Maine to see my wife's parents. Then we came back to New York for a little bit, and then we rented an RV and drove across the country to Washington State.
Okay, that is definitely a reality series.
Yeah, but I don't want to relive it. So you're not. You're gonna have to rent that. And then we drove out here, and we've been here since October.
Okay, so how long was the drive?
We did it in 5 days. Okay. I wanted to do it in 3, and my wife said I was insane. So we did it in 5. It was actually very fun and a lot easier than I thought it would be.
I've spoken to a lot of people from around the world all during this pandemic, and everyone has a different view of everything, because some people are in an apartment, which is very tiny. Some people have a lawn in the backyard. Some people travel in an RV. So it's, everyone has a different, perception of getting through this, like maybe being able to take your mask off in the backyard when you have a lawn. I mean, So how are you all handling, you and your wife, your beautiful baby now, Grace? I mean, How are you handling everything as it progresses, the pandemic? Are days getting a little lighter now for you, or do you still have good days and bad days?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think, I think I'm in this. I hope I'm in the same boat as everybody else, and just feeling like this is nuts. And also, I think it's really put everything in perspective about what's important, family, friendships, relationships, what you're passionate about. And I think that's been actually really great. That has to be one of the silver linings of all of this, is remembering at the end of the day, it's about, having a place to go and people to be with. And if you're around people that you love and that love you, you're going to be good, and and I also think it can only get better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there are only going to be more possibilities and more exciting things that are going to come down the pike eventually. So that's great. And it's a tragedy of everything that's happened. And we've lost so many people, especially in the theater community.
Oh.
We've lost so many people. I think it's been a great time. And also I've gotten to, spend all this time with my daughter and see her every day, all day, every day, which I never would have had before. I don't think that would have happened. So that's been great, but it's a challenge. I think I'm in it with everybody else. And I'm texting with friends who are going through the same crap.
Yeah. No, it's funny you said that, because I said one of the positives of the pandemic is that you've been able to be home with your daughter every day. And, they changed so much during this period of and it must be just so great for you to have that day to day say, oh my God, she's getting bigger. She's doing this,
Yeah. It's crazy and beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
How has being a dad, I've asked a lot of dads, I've asked Jeremy Jordan this question, a lot of other parents along like Megan Hilty, how has being a dad and a parent changed the way you now look at your life and your career?
Everything. It's, hugely. I mean, what is worth not being near her?
Yeah.
And with her and seeing her more? What is worth the decisions I make in my life? What would I want? What decisions would I want her to make? And what's the right thing to do? I find myself going through that a lot, saying like, no, if this happened to Grace, I would say this is the right thing to do. And this, those things are coloring my life in a huge way. And it's helping me really specify what is most important to me, because she is so important to me. Yeah.
I think this has happened to everybody during this, because all we have is this, like a StreamYard or something like this, but we're connecting this way. And I just think, having the time you spent, like you said, you drove across the country to be with your family. You're all there together. And just the quality time you've had with Jessica's parents and now with your parents, and watching them watch your daughter grow. I mean, that's what life's really all about. The career just takes, a back seat.
It used to. I mean, people used to live like this all the time. The idea that, you think now. I think Obama said this too. Like, I think we are going to see people reorganizing their lives in a way that is much more humane and hopefully positive and more enjoyable for themselves. Like, that's been one of the things that I think this is going to do. It's going to really shake the cage of like, do we really need to be working all of that time? I don't know. We'll see.
Have you been doing audiobooks while you're home? Like, have you turned a closet in your parents' house into a sound studio? Like, where is your sound studio for that sort of stuff? I'm fascinated.
I have. You're right on. I've now done audiobooks in Vermont, in Maine, in Washington, in a closet here with a bunch of blankets and stuff, and voiceover stuff. Yeah, I've been doing that, which has been great. And I've also been recording stuff. I'm doing, actually, you mentioned Jeremy, I'm doing a recording of The Violet Hour has been written as a musical with beautiful music, written by Eric Price and Will Reynolds. And there's, the cast is great also. It's not just Jeremy, but Soleil Pfeiffer, and I'm going to forget everybody. Erica Henningsen and, oh gosh, I'm going to
No, I'm not.
It's a great group. And, I was like, sure, why not? This is great. I've got a setup, and I'm doing some demos for a movie coming up. And then, that's been great. It's been and strange, but good.
But that's what theater people do. It's like you've always learned to make art somewhere, from like when you started out in children's theater or you moved up into something else. It's like, it doesn't matter where you make it, but you create it somewhere. And everyone's like saying, I put all my shoes and my clothes. They're now sitting in a corner of my bedroom, and I made this little soundproof studio, and it's like Jeremy and Ashley were here the week before, and they were like, their daughter sleeps through everything. They said. I said, how are you rehearsing your concert with her? And they're like, oh, she sleeps through a lot of this.
Yeah, no, that's not my situation. I mean, Jess, my wife, is going to be with the baby because we were like, there's no way we can't do this. This is nuts. You know.
Right. Well, we're going to talk about that because this coming Sunday night, February 21st at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you will be live doing your virtual concert with Seth Rudetsky. You're going to be in Washington. He's going to be here on the East Coast. I mean, as part of his concert series. First of all, how excited are you to be doing this?
I'm excited, but I also want to, I want everyone, with all the challenges that's going on, I want everyone to lower their expectations and raise their understanding and compassion, because I'm kidding. I think it'll be fun. I met with Seth today, actually, and we talked about it. We're really going to embrace the whole like living room casual element of this, because here's the other thing, Richie, nobody is supposed to be filmed singing this close. It's not, that's not a thing that should happen. It's not a thing you see, because things are going to be moving and so I'm already like, this is going to look nuts. The camera's never going to move. Yeah. And I can't, there's no applause. There's no banter. There's no, so I don't really know. I know that, I love Seth, and he and I get along very well, and he's a very fun guy. And I haven't really sung for people since, I mean, you know, before what, March? When was the last?
It's almost a year. It's almost
been a year. It's been a year.
So I was going to ask you, what are some of the songs we can expect for your fans? Who are some of the composers? I mean, have you chosen some shows? Like, what can you give us a sneak peek?
Sure. I don't want to give too much away. And Seth was like, don't tell them you're doing this. And I was like, okay, don't tell them you're doing this. Okay. I don't know why he sounds like that, but no, there's things that you would expect, and then there are things that you would not expect. I really wanted to do stuff. And I also, you know, I wrote to some on Facebook or Instagram or one of those things, any requests. And I did look through all of that, and I'm doing a lot of those. And there's also, you know, there are challenges with this format in terms of the timing of music. So some things were going to be too complicated. Some things I didn't feel comfortable doing. And some things I was like, let's try this one. You know, there's some new stuff. There's stuff people know and want me to do. And then, you know, yeah, it's a mix.
Because you never know where Seth's going to go either. I mean, he may throw something like,
oh yeah.
Remember when you were in summer camp?
I'm fully prepared for that. I am and not, because you can't be. But he even said today, he was like, why don't you do that weird song that you did with and I was like, what weird song? And he, of course, got it completely wrong. But now I'm like, maybe I should do that song. So, and it may be changing. I don't know.
See, that's great. So you had a rehearsal today. So you should have your parents be your audience. I mean, put them, whatever. You should have them be, no?
No, that's never going to happen. Okay. That will never happen. They're going to be downstairs with the baby, making sure everything's copacetic down there. And I'm going to try and not be too loud. And, but no, the idea of them like walking behind me is my nightmare of like, oh, there's my mom.
It's like, I got to run to the kitchen. We have to get a bottle.
Yeah. What happened? What happened to my life? Like, what's going on? We're all in this weird, anyway.
So have you, is the living room going to be your concert stage?
Yes,
for
I've decided it will be the living room because it is, it has the best acoustics, but it also looks the nicest and the least crazy, and it's where then the rest of the family can go other places. And it also, I think, embraces, I want everyone, you know, I'm going to be coming into your living room. You're going to come into mine. We'll make it through together. We don't have to breathe the same air, you know.
Have you chosen an outfit?
No, that's a good point. I don't know how casual I should go. I think, I mean, I didn't see Laura's, but I imagine Laura was very dressed up. And I imagine Jeremy was fairly casual, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I'm probably, if he did it, then I'm going to be like, well, I have permission. So, you know, I may be in a bathrobe. I may not have pants on. I don't know how it's going to go. I haven't gotten that far. I don't know. I may just wear a hat. I mean,
totally. Because I've spoken to everyone who has done these. They're like, Richard, I don't really know. I don't know.
What do they say? What do they say? Do they like, are they winging it?
I don't know what I can fit into, they say. Everyone, I mean, the ladies are like, oh, I have 3 outfits, or I have kids. Like Ashley Spencer was like, I usually wear like, exercise pants, and a blouse. It's like, I got a baby. It's like some of the guys are like, well, I think I may wear a tuxedo shirt and a jacket and a pair of boxer shorts. It's like, no one knows what they can fit into or whatever. And they're like, but Kelly O'Hara put it the best, because Kelly kicked the series off and she's been back. She said the first time nothing was in sync. The internet kept going out at Seth's and at her house. It looked like an old Japanese, one of those Godzilla movies. And I just mean that because I love Godzilla movies. But she was like, and it was like, this is what it is. Everyone is going into someone else's home. Like I said, Seth's in New York, you're in Washington. But he has synced this thing up beautifully. This new sound box you get in the mail or whatever you're supposed to download to your computers make magic.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. Today was the first time we got to play with it, and I was shocked. It feels like he's right there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The other thing is, it's such a wonderful thing, because the other great thing is, the other positive thing about this pandemic is you have fans everywhere across the United States. You have fans in Europe. All anybody has to do is buy a ticket, and they can watch you all at the same time in the safety of their own place. That must make you feel wonderful.
Yeah, I did something. I'm trying to remember what it was. I did something online with people, and we had people. I was shocked. There were people from Australia. There were people from New Zealand. There were people from the Philippines. There were a ton of people from Thailand. There was someone from Prague, someone from Germany, someone from South Africa.
Yeah.
I was shocked, and people from England, and and all across the country. So that's kind of an amazing thing about this, is being able to come into people's living rooms and entertain them I was telling Seth, like, we should do a requests only concert, and like people can, like, we can figure out an algorithm, like these people in Japan want this song and these people in the Netherlands want this song. Let's tie it together. I think that's really one of the most exciting things about all of this. I do know, and people have asked, because the time change is crazy for some people for this, and I do think the goal is, if it's not a total nightmare and I'm terrible. If I'm terrible, I'm going to be like, we're done. We can't play it again.
You're never terrible. You've never been terrible a day in your life, my friend.
Don't know that.
Yes, I do.
I hide those days from you. So those, and if it's not terrible, yes, then we will open it up so that people can watch in their own, It's also, that's one of the great things. There's something really great about asking people, what do you want to hear? Can't wait. Let me do it. That kind of feeling like you're able to be kind of a vessel to both entertain, but also to, breathe life into something for somebody directly. That's really great. And to get the opportunity to do it like this, and I think it could be even probably more fine-tuned in the sense of, this group of people want me to do this. Let's do it. Why not? So we'll see where that goes. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
It's going to be great. You're also offering a special VIP sound check ticket. Now, this is at 5:00 on Sunday. These are great because a lot of the stars for Seth has done this. This is so great for the fans because, everybody walks into a nightclub, into a theater, and they see the nice lights and the curtain goes up and they see everything beautiful. Then they're going to see your sound check in your living room at 5:00.
With my child probably running around. Yeah, you probably will.
Yeah, but it's going to be so great, though, because these have been so beautiful that people get to see how you're putting this together. So just have a fabulous time with that, too, because they're so enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
So
I'm wondering if there's going to be able to be comments or something. I don't want to read the bad ones, but I'm curious if people are like, do you want to hear this or this? And then they'll vote. Okay, we'll do this.
I don't think that's a part of this, but that's a Seth thing. The other great thing about this, not only are you the performer, you're a lighting designer, a sound man, a stage manager. I know you've always appreciated everybody who has done this for you.
But now, I'm saying, lower expectations, raise your understanding. That's what we want. We want to get there.
When you go back to work, you've always been so wonderful to everybody, your dressers and everybody else, but you're going to bow in front of everybody at a theater saying, thank you for doing what you do, because I had to do this for my concert.
Absolutely. Lighting people, sound people, all the, absolutely.
Well, it's going to be great. And like I said, you still have a day or two to figure out what you're going to wear on Sunday, believe me.
If I wear anything.
Well, okay.
Maybe
Well, more people will
happy
tune
birthday
in.
to me.
Yeah, totally. Well, again, Santino will be live this coming Sunday evening, February 21st at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then a rebroadcast on Monday, February 22nd at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For anybody else on different time zones can watch it then. The Seth Concert Series is produced by Mark Cortali. It is sponsored by Broadway World and StreamYard. Tickets are available at Broadway World events and at thesethconcerts.com, or just Google or type in Santino Fontana anytime over the next few days. That will all come up. The tickets are only $28.50. And remember, there's a special VIP sound check at 5 o'clock on Sunday, which is very exciting. You know, I want to go back to the beginning. Growing up, where did your love for theater begin, and how did the Academy of Children's Theater play into that?
That's great. Yeah, that's here. That's local. The Academy of Children's Theater is right, like just not far from here. My grandfather, I was babysat a lot by my grandfather when I was a kid, and he would go to, I don't think he knew what to do. So he would go to Blockbuster and he would rent, which Blockbuster is like Netflix, but with a store.
Oh, I loved it.
No.
Yeah.
Anyway, and he would go get the movies that he really liked. And they were pretty broad spectrum, everything from like Bridge Over River Kwai to, you know, Singing in the Rain, or The Apartment, which why was I watching The Apartment as a kid? And he would bring them home, we would watch them, and then he would just rewind them and play them again. And that would happen over and over. And I think his passion and excitement for those stories and being able to share an imaginary life with people in a room, that was infectious, and I loved it. And that's how it started. And then we moved up here. We moved to Washington State when I was 10, and I was in the very first production of this organization, which is a great organization, which is going through some hard times, as everyone is. And please go donate to the Academy of Children's Theater in Richland, Washington. And I was in plays there, you know, Heidi, and I was in Fame. There's no video.
Seth may have you sing something from Fame on Sunday, just so you know.
Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. So, and I was a bunch of plays here, and as well as in high school and all of that. So, yeah.
You know, I, like everybody else, fell in love with you the first time I saw you in New York, which of course is when you played Matt in The Fantastics.
Yeah.
And we all sat up and said, "Who is that?" You all came out in your white pants and your white sneakers. No, I remember
white jeans above the Dwayne Reed. I remember I had an audition for something that Terrence McNally was writing, and I was so like in awe that this is Terrence McNally's right there. Yeah. And I think it must have been, I don't know what it was, but I came in and he was like, "So you're in The Fantastics?" And he was like, "Is that downtown?" I was like, No, it's in Midtown now. He's like, "Where?" And I said, "Above the Dwayne Reed."
Snapple Center.
Yeah.
Snapple Center.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh.
It must have been Corpus Christi. Was it that show?
No, I don't. Okay. I don't remember. It might have been a workshop or. Okay.
Because they all wore white in that, so I was like, "Oh, you could just wear your Matt costume in Corpus Christi."
Absolutely not. I think that was before me. But anyway, no, Fantastics, you're right. Absolutely.
How magical was that for you?
Great. Tom Jones. I love Tom Jones. I loved Sarah Jean Ford. I really had a great time. Yeah. And I was only in it for a couple months. And I also didn't really know it before the audition. So that was kind of beautiful. So, but I really love Tom and his wife, Janet. Yeah. Who's since passed, but and we've lost a lot of people in that cast. Leo Burmeister passed, Bobby Oliver, but it was really lovely, very sweet.
Well, then you went on, you made your Broadway debut, which I hope a lot of people, you know, before the pandemic hit, so many people were going to make their Broadway debuts this past spring. So I hope when the theater comes back bigger and better than ever, they'll be given that opportunity. Broadway debuts are really special. You made yours in Roundabout Theater production of Sunday in the Park with George. Mm-hmm. You remember the first time you had to sing for Stephen Sondheim?
Yes, I do. And he said, well, for the callback, and I know he laughed. I sang Not While I'm Around, but I did it in like a comedic context because of the character I was playing. And he laughed, and that was a big deal. And then there was one time in the Sitzbro You know, when you sing the score for the first time with the orchestra, I had a line, I like the one in the red hat, I think, or some, I can't remember I think that's the line. And he had the same laugh, was like, ha. I was like, I'm good. I love it. I'll remember that forever. Yes, I do. I loved it.
Because, many people get like very succinct little notes from him that they have it, like they've saved these. It sits in the back of their memory. I thought to myself, you got to laugh, not once, but twice.
Yes, that's true. I mean, I didn't have that much to do, which was fine by me. And that was all I needed, and he had a party, and I think he still does this, where he invites casts of his shows to his house. And that was a surreal evening, which was really cool. Really. And that cast was great too.
That was great. Good. You got 2 laughs. I love that. You originated the role of Tony in Billy Elliot. What was it like living in the world of Elton John and Stephen Daldry?
Well, that story, if you're not one of the children, is incredibly dark.
Especially
you're grunting, you're stomping, you're slamming things, you're bleeding, you're in fights. And it was also on a raked stage. And so it really took a toll on, not just on my body, on everyone's body. But when you're in a situation that's challenging like that, you make, again, I mean, I was texting with Stephanie Kurtzuba, who's in that cast. And, you feel like, wow, we've been through something, And also there were it was a huge cast and a lot of children who were all, growing up and getting sick and getting injured and it was, I would say intense is the word.
But it was just so good to see you play this dark character, because we had seen you come from Matt and we had seen you come from Sunday in the Park. It's like, oh my God, look at the gravitas that Santino has.
Yeah, I think Tara Rubin called, it was right after that, or shortly after that, I was in a reading of something. And was it Cinderella? Someone said, oh, Santino's doing a reading of Cinderella. And I think Tara Rubin said, who's he playing? And Robin Goodman was like, the producer said, the Prince. And Tara Rubin said, is it the dark version? Oh, no. Yeah, it was from Brighton Beach. That's what it was. Yeah. It was Brighton Beach. Like, he's going to be in a comedy? Brighton Beach? After? Okay. I don't know.
Sure. Okay, we have to talk about Brighton Beach, because I loved that production. You and I had many conversations during this. I couldn't wait to see the second half, which never happened. For people who don't know, I'm sure it was a bittersweet. The whole time must have been for you, but you working with Noah Robbins, the two of you, comic geniuses, and just acting together. How bittersweet was that whole time for you of doing Brighton Beach, which should have turned into Broadway Bound in repertory?
I think time really changes. I mean, I know time really changes everything in that sense, because I look back at it now and it doesn't feel bittersweet. It feels really sweet, because it was also kind of one of my first lessons about just like what this business, how crazy the business can be, and how ephemeral it really is. And talk about a great cast. Jessica Hecht and Laurie Metcalf and Dennis Boutsikaris and Noah and Josh in the second play, and Gracie B. Lawrence and Alexandra Sosha, and Cromer. I really thought he was really super smart with the direction of that. I loved Manny Eisenberg, the producer. Got to know Neil and his wife, and that was I really do look back at that, even though it was so short-lived. I do feel like everybody who saw it, they still remember it.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah. I mean, I saw a casting director in LA who remembered one of the scenes I had up when I run away. And I was like, that's great. I
remember everything about that so vividly. And then I was there, of course, the night you won the Drama Desk Award, and you were all the way in the back. I think you had blue jeans on and a t-shirt or whatever. And they call your name. I'll never forget. Like, that night had been surreal for you.
It was surreal. And I was recovering from a head injury and almost didn't come. And my agent said, you should really go. It'll be good for you. And I was so nervous, and I was like, I don't know anybody. And I still wasn't really doing great. And physically. And I was sitting in the middle of a row in the and I was like, well, this is a waste of time. Like, I'm obviously losing this. And although I'll be honest, I never thought I would have a chance at winning. It ran for a week.
Yeah.
It didn't run. So I was like, why am I here? I'm have a headache and I don't feel great. And I do remember being so shocked and feeling like, you know, it was just a great pick me up in a time that was very challenging for me. And yeah, I'm surprised that you remember it, but I'll never forget it.
You flew on air. I remember it vividly in my head. And you, like, so people know the reason why you had a headache is you had a major injury. So it wasn't like you just had a headache. You actually had an injury.
Yeah, I had a traumatic brain injury. I was in cognitive therapy trying to get my memory back, and there was a real chance that I wouldn't. Yeah. And the doctors said they weren't sure because brain injuries can be tricky. So you know, I had no idea, and that's where the state I was in when I was there. And Martha Plimpton gave me the award, and then my first TV thing was The Good Wife, in which she was in all my scenes.
See?
Which was really great. Yeah, no, it was really cool. Really
but I'm sure going through what you were going, recovering, I'm sure they just added like a little like cherry on top of a sundae or something of just
when dramatic things like that happen, or and you know, the world will surprise you. I tell young actors all the time, the world will surprise you. This business will surprise you, and all you have are your relationships and what you do. And to have especially in times like that when you're like, should I just go home and get out of here? Should I just go do something easier? And that was a real pick me up. And a real kind of like, no. If you want to do this, you should still do this. And thank God I got better, and you know, everything's fine. But
beautiful. You work with so many incredible actors, because I know I read that in college you sort of hid that you could sing because you didn't want to get pigeonholed into stuff. And then you come here in a musical, then you start doing plays with the very best. I mean, you got to work with Brian Bedford in The Importance of Being Earnest. And I remember talking to you a lot during that. Favorite memory of working with Brian Bedford was what for you, Santino?
Oh, there's so many. He used to say things like, he would say, you know, in an Oscar Wilde world, no one gets sick and no one dies unless it's funny. So also just watching him play an audience and know, you know, also, I mean, there were a lot of things in that text. There are still a lot of things in that text that can be fairly arcane. Yeah. And he would identify where he needed to, he said he would need to help Oscar. And he would do something, you know, something silly or something. It was really great. Also, I would love asking him, like, what do you think about this and this moment and this moment? And his way, he would like, well, I'll show you. And then he would get up and just do the whole scene. As in, you know, which in a lot of cases was like, he's right. That's better. That's a better version of what I was going to do. Yeah. And he was like a child in his joy and his like, when he would get flustered by something and confused, but he was. I really cherished that experience with him. I really did. He was very sweet.
You got to do Act One, directed by James Lapine. You shared the stage with Tony Shalhoub. I mean, what a performance!
And Andrea.
Andrea Martin. I bow before all of them. Believe me, I love that show. And you running through that set, that Beowulf Board set. I mean, just incredible. Favorite memory of sharing the stage with Tony and Andrea?
Oh, I think the scene where, I mean, there's a lot. I mean, you know that saying, it's not the work, it's the stairs.
Yeah.
I wear a Fitbit at one point. Lauren Galatelli, my dresser, a very good friend, she said, we're going to put a Fitbit in your pants and we're going to see how much you run. Yeah. And I think we did, it was like 1.5 miles a show of stairs. Wow. My favorite moment of I think I love the scene where Tony, you know, he played a character who was very, he had OCD before they knew what it was. And there's a whole scene where I would show up and be like, hey, Mr. Kaufman, I want to talk. And he would go through like a 3-minute scene of silence with him. I think that was the most fun because all I had to do was watch him And he would always find new stuff and, you know, play with it. I loved when Andrea she played his wife. And every time I would take her up the stairs, she would remind me her age in my ear. She'd be like, I'm 67. We'd go up the stairs. And she and I have, you know, we've become really, really close. And Tony and I just did an audio play that Daniel Goldfarb wrote together. And we did Tony and I also did the very first reading of the band's Visit before there was music.
Yeah.
And he was like, Santino, there are no songs. I was like, I know, they haven't written them yet, Tony. He's like, why should I say yes to a show when I don't know if there are songs? It's like, there's gonna be songs. He's like, what if I can't sing them? I was like, they're gonna write it for you if you want to do it.
And he did that, and he won the Tony.
Yeah, he did the year before, right before Tootsie, right? It was the year before, and same composer. So it's a small world.
I love that. We have to talk about Cinderella for a second because Laura Osnes was here last week. And, you know, during this pandemic, if I wanted to add an extra smile on my face, I'd watch the R&H's go pop. And I am obsessed with the mashup that you and Laura do of 10 Minutes Ago and You Are Never Away. I totally forgot from Allegro. And you have this short haircut and you look so great. And I'm like, how much fun was it doing that?
Well, first of all, that arrangement was Jeff Blumenkrantz, who was a genius, and Alicia Umfris. They had originally recorded it, and I don't know who brought that to us, but I'm a huge Jeff Blumenkrantz fan, both as a composer as well as an actor, as well as Alicia. And Ted Sperling, I think Ted Sperling suggested it. Yeah. And we had sung, Laura and Ted and I, and other people as well, and Laura and other people, we've sung in a lot of concerts around the country with orchestras and have sung You're Never Away often. People don't really know it. So he pitched that and we were like, sure, why not? And then we were going to record it a long time ago. We were going to do a video for it. And then I was like, guys, I got in an RV and I'm in Washington State. I'm in the middle of nowhere. I'm in a desert, which is where my family lives. And they're like, yeah, just put something on tape. We'll figure it out. You know, no idea. And to be honest, I still can't watch it because I'm not good at watching myself. So I'm glad that you liked it.
Oh, it's brilliant. But, you with your stone and everything else. Oh, it's fabulous. I love that. I love that video.
That's just really me and my wife being like, what do we do? Like, should I pick up a rock? Okay. Should I move around? Like, what do we do? Yeah.
Well, you did a great job with that. And, you know, Laura posted someone took the little video of you two taking your final bows at Cinderella, which I watch all the time too, wondering what we all miss. And you're like doing this little dance in the wings and you're blowing a kiss to Laura. And then you take your bow and then the curtain goes up when you bring her down. I mean, that last performance in Cinderella must have been mind blowing for you two.
It was. I mean, I vaguely remember. I remember being really. Also, that cast was a family. I mean, it was a joy to be with those people. And I mean, I talked to Greg Hildreth 2 days ago. Vicky Clark sang at my wedding. Peter Bartlett was the officiant at my wedding. My wife Jess went into Cinderella and then was the alternate for Cinderella. So Carly Rae did 6 a week and my wife did 2. I went back and saw that show over and over and I cried at the same spots. And beautifully directed by Mark Brokaw, I thought. And I loved Doug's book and the score was great. And Josh Rhodes' choreography was great. And Robin was an angel of a producer. So, and that cast, Anne Harada, you know, we're all family. Totally. Harriet, I mean, I can't say enough good things about those people.
We are almost out of time because I know you rehearse all during the day and you have to rehearse for Seth's show too, but I have just a few more questions for you.
Sure.
Frozen, you are known to millions of fans all around the world for Frozen. I mean, what was your audition song that you sang?
Interesting you bring that up. I may or may not be doing that in the concert. I don't know if I want to tell it. Now I feel weird. So the notes were, listen, we don't know who this character really is yet. We think he's the love interest. We think he's conceited. We think he's also the bad guy. We think he's funny, but he doesn't know he's funny. So pick a song. I was like, well, thank you for all that very helpful information.
Yeah, totally.
And then I adapted the lyrics of Stephen Sondheim. Don't tell him, he's not watching this.
Yeah.
And a song. I sang a song from West Side Story, which I will be singing on Sunday.
So everybody, you must tune in because this is what got him Frozen, just so we know. Now we have to move on to Tootsie. Like I said, I spoke to a lot during that. What an incredible role you took on for that, my friend. I mean, just, singing and emotionally and just the physicality of the role. I mean, favorite moment of doing Tootsie, or one of your favorite moments?
I loved the development process of it because all in all, we did nine readings over 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And it was a real group effort. And those are some real collaborators in Robert Horn and David Yazbek, and led by Scott Ellis to kind of, and Dennis O'Hare, figuring out Dennis Jones, Dennis Jones, my brain, and Andrea Grody, music director. But it was, that's a tricky thing to do. And everybody was trying to do their best. And I feel like we were just a really good group of, collaborators. And we still, that little group of, Michael McGraw and Reg Rogers and Julie Alston and Lily Cooper and Sarah Stiles, Andy Grote-Lucien, John Bellman, we are constantly texting each other. We missed that. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. It was also just the best memory, the first audience we had in Chicago.
Yeah.
When you do when you're rehearsing a comedy that long and you forget it's funny because no one's laughing.
Yeah.
And you're just like trying to be clear, trying to make it better. And the show, the audience would stop that show over and over and remind us how ludicrous this story is, and being able to laugh at it and really, that's great. It's very rare to have that.
Okay, so when you were dealing with wigs for that show, I know you had stepped into Cornelius and Hello Dolly with Bernadette Peters and Victor Garber. Did you text them pictures of you with wigs? Did they give you like, oh, pick this wig?
100%. So Bernadette, I'll admit it, I'm obsessed with Bernadette Peters. And she had me in tears when she sang Before the Parade Passes By when I saw it. Yeah. And I had worked with her on Mozart in the Jungle. And she had I think she had met me once, but she was very lovely. And I was like, oh, it's Bernadette Peters. And when I got to know her during the show, and she was very sweet to me. And she would ask about Tootsie. She wants to know about Tootsie. And I would tell her a little bit about it. And I said, I would be in rehearsals or I'd be doing the show at night. And then I would go to a fitting with Paul Huntley and William Ivey Long, and we'd be looking at wigs. And I was like, I think I should look like Bernadette. And I think William said, honey, you're not going to look like Bernadette. And I was like, I know, but I think I should have it should be a little red, and there's some kind of red in the movie, but I think it should be like a redhead. And we put a red wig on, and Paul, I think, said, I think she's a red. And then what I did is I went there was this website where you could put my face with Dorothy makeup on and see every different hairstyle possible. And I printed that out and I slid it under Bernadette's dressing room door. I told her about it before, and she's like, just slide it under my door. So I slid it under her door, and she circled the ones she liked, and she wrote, pretty girl. And the ones she didn't like, she wrote, not so pretty girl. And then Victor found out about it, and he was like, why didn't you give it to me? Yeah. Why don't I get to choose? And I was like, okay. And I slid it under his door, and then he circled his, and then I gave it to Kate Baldwin, who also was like, I'm a redhead. I've got a bit, she was like, I'm going to help you. They all had their ideas of what they wanted me to look like. So they were very helpful with all of that. And then I think Bernadette did text me after she saw the show, and she said, we did good with what I love. So
I love that.
Yeah, it's great.
One of my finals is Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. I mean, you're known for huge fans of that. I mean, favorite memory of working on that?
Shooting Settle for Me. I had just gotten married. Or was I just about to go get married? No, I had just gotten married. I had finished Shades of Blue, the cop show with J-Lo, where Ray Liotta threw me off of a building. And I was literally lying in a morgue, naked, lying in a morgue. And then they were like, that's a wrap. J-Lo gives me a hug. I go to my wedding. I get married. I'm listening to the Settle For Me demo. So, because I know we're going to do it. And also what people don't know is the rehearsals for like choreography and stuff, it's not like in theater. In theater, it's weeks of developing it. And on TV, it's like, okay, here's what we're going to do it. So, and Kat Burns, a great choreographer who did a great job, and Rachel and bless his soul, Adam Schlesinger, who wrote it. That was my first number. And we had just, I think we just got married. And it was like the beginning and the black and white and the set. And it was really lovely. I mean, that's a great memory from that time there. Yeah, absolutely.
That is great. Finally, what have you learned the most about yourself during this pandemic?
Like I said at the beginning, if I am in contact with the people that I love and that I know love me, I'm good. I'll be fine. And we'll all be fine. And also that, we can't do this alone. Yeah. This is all too hard to do alone. So.
Beautifully put. Like I said, I want you to be able to do all your rehearsals tomorrow and get yourself ready for Sunday. I know it is. But Stephen Karam, you have to give a big shout out for Sons of the Prophet, all the stuff you did at Encores. I mean, you're John Adams, brilliant in 1776. And God bless you, Mr. Goldwater. And you did something else. Zorba, of course, with the late, great Marin everything. But so, like I said, want to tell everybody again, Santino will be live this coming Sunday night, February 21st at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with a rebroadcast on Monday afternoon, February 22nd at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tickets are available at BroadwayWorld events, at the Seth Concert Series, at SethConcerts.com, at Santino Fontana. Just do all that Googling. Tickets are only $28.50. There's also that VIP special sound check on Sunday night at 5 p.m. Santino, I've adored you since the day you arrived or rove in New York.
Thank you very much. And I've adored you. You've always been very kind and sweet and honest, and I appreciate it.
Well, love to your wife, to your beautiful daughter, to your parents, and I hope that when you're back in New York again, we can all spend it together live somewhere.
Yes, I agree. I can't wait for a press line, and that's something I don't often say.
You never say that. That's fabulous. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. Listen, Take care, everybody. We'll see you Sunday night.